How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at Scrub Games, and today we have a deck profile going over King Cold, my list that I took to the Webcam Locals last Friday to share with it because I know some people were interested in it after seeing the gameplay, and I always like to put my lists out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we normally do, go into the deck, go by leader in the deck, and I'll go over the side deck and Z deck as well. But before you get into that, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel out greatly because we are on our way to 1,000 subs and over halfway there, and we're looking to get there by the end of the year. And every little bit helps, is much appreciated. And also, if you want to get notifications to when my videos do drop, because they do drop very regularly weekly, you can hit the notification bell to get alerts when they do drop so you can check them out straight away. So with all that out of the way, let's have a look at the deck, and as usual, let's start off with the lead. So, the King Cold leader, it's an interesting one because this deck is quite interesting. It is green, so that's probably put a lot of people off because not many people like or play green or know how to play or understand green. They just look at it and go, meh. But green does have some interesting decks, and King Cold is one of them. And most of them are gimmicky, and the gimmick for green King Cold is that it revolves around field cards. And you'll understand that because there's a lot of field card text on a lot of the cards, especially on the field card we're going to see in a sec. But start off with the lead. He's got a permanent on both sides, where if you're playing a green field card with entry cost of 2 from your hand, it's reduced by 1. That's on both sides, so that way you're paying only 1 for the field card. And it's relevant because the deck's draw power revolves around the field cards. So on the front side as well, it does have a second auto, it does have 2 autos. First one being just like we've seen with other ones, where as soon as you start the game, you start with Zenkai in play. And for this one, it's a field card like most of them. So when you place this down in your leader area, you get to play 1 King Cold's Dynasty from your deck straight to the board. So you're starting off, if you have 50 cards, you start with a 49 card list. So you're already deck finning, so you're already deck winning. And then it's got another auto, which is similar to on the other side as well, just a little bit different on the Awaken side, which is how you get your draw power and how you awaken trigger your Awaken, which is once per turn when you activate basically a green extra card with riddle energy cost of 2, and the field skill, you can take up to 1 card from your life to your hand and then draw 1. So taking your life has helped to get down to 4 so you can Awaken, and drawing a card is how you just basically gain that value. So you don't need to attack, which is nice. Like, there is some benefit to not needing to attack, not needing to get that ult like swing in to draw, which can trigger certain things you don't want to trigger, and that's one nice little benefit. And the Awaken is just when you're less at 4 or less, untap 2 energy and flip over. So nice and aggressive one. Getting extra energy is really nice, especially in a green deck. And now when you flip over to your leader, flip over your leader. You're now King Cold, ruler of the Galactic Dynasty. So now you're still at that permanent, so your field cards of 2 are reduced by 1 in your hand when you play them. And then the auto is quite similar, but it's a little difference, a small little difference. And that's auto once per turn. When you activate a green extra card with the original cost of 2 and the field skill, draw a card. So now you no longer take your life, but you still get to draw a card, so you still gain advantage. And now you've also gained an activate battle, which is really handy for this deck. And that's once per turn. You can choose one of your green extra cards with entry cost of 2 and the field skill in your battle area. Place it in the owner's drop as the cost, and then this card gains 10k for the battle. So it's really nice to have defensively or offensively an extra 10k to either be a bit more aggressive or to have that free little bit of defense. And also stacks out your field cards so you can recycle them and reuse them to play out and get more draw and more benefits from the field cards. And now, as the gimmick is with the field cards, we'll start with the one you start off with, which is King Cold's Dynasty. So it's a 6 cost with barrier. So barrier is a nice little bit of protection, means it doesn't go anywhere because your whole strategy regarding fields revolves around having this on board. And it's a 6 cost, but luckily it's fine because it plays it straight from the deck on play. Now it has 2 very big wordy permanents, which I'm not going to go fully over because it's just, as you can see from the picture, you can see that in the permanents, there's both of them combined, there's 5 instances of the field tag, which, yeah, it is confusing if you just read it normally, but essentially what this means is that while this card is in play, you can play as many 2-cost green field cards as you want, and they won't send any other field cards to the drop. So this plus the other 2-cost field cards won't send any of them to the drop, so you can play more than one. And the ever permanent basically says if you have a field card in play and you want to play never copy of that field card, you need to sack off the one in your battle area first before you play the new one. So it means you can't play 2 at the same time. You have to sack off the one you have before you play a new version of it. So that is it. So that's what you start off with. Really nice. And we'll start off with the field cards. We do have 4 of them, 4 different ones we got on the deck. I'm going to start off with what people people feel is the best one. I don't really feel it's the best one. Like, it is very good, but it's not the best one in my opinion. And it has a new ruler. We play full 4 copies of this. So all these field cards have 2 effects, mostly in 2 autos, but one does have a permanent instead of an auto. And new rules effect is just when you play it, you can take a card from your life if you want to, and then you get a look at the top 3 cards of your deck, or up to the top 3 cards of your deck. Grab any mono green card among them to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So that's really nice in that it helps you self-awaken to get down to 4, because you need to get your only way to awaken is to get down to 4 to flip over. And this with the leader means in a turn you're taking 2 cards from your life to help you awaken as soon as possible, because you want to get on that awaken side so you can start pushing aggression and also sacking off the field cards so you can replay. Because remember, if you've got a new role on the board and you want to play a new one, you need to sack it off from the board before you play a new one, and the activate battle on your leader facilitates that. And then the Ever effect, which is why I don't rate this card as highly as probably most people do, is its Ever Auto, which is an effect which triggers when you send it off, which is when this card is placed in the drop area by one of your skills, then you get to draw 1 and then discard a card. And I like that it draws 1, but I don't like the fact it discards you a card, because there's not often I want to discard a card. There's sometimes when there's no card in my hand I want to discard. I don't want to lose a card from my hand by just discarding it for no reason, and that's why you won't often see me recycle the new ruler, because I don't want to just discard cards, because I feel most cards have value. If there is a card that I don't mind discarding, then of course I'll trigger it, but most of the time it's not this one that I'm recycling most often to gain advantage. The one I am doing is my favourite one, which is Anticipate Onslaught. Now this one is my favourite card, and it's how I gain most value when I play it, because it's also got 2 autos, and the first one is if your leader card is this leader, when this card is placed in the battle area, you get to draw 1. Well, you draw 1, and you choose up to 1 of your green Frieza clan or Frieza army cards with entry cost of 2 or less from your hand and play it. So there's 2 good targets we have. I think you can technically play. No, I think it is 2 targets. It's only 2 targets I like to play, and they're really nice. And one of those is Berry Blue, and one is Promo King Cold, we'll see in a bit. So the Berry Blue we'll see in a bit is how you get consistency, reusing the field cards to make sure you can keep getting that draw, and the King Cold is how you put in pressure and also a way to recycle. So this is the one I like to play most often. That's why I play full 4 copies of it, because even though it doesn't take a life in your hand, it's still gaining you a draw, because both of these cards so far, they replace themselves in the hand by drawing a card or adding a card from the top 3 to the hand, and it's just really advantageous. And the other one is a really nice one where if you do sack off an Ever field card, you get a little bit of benefit and a little bit of popping, which is what green is really known for. And that is once per turn, when a green extra card when your Ever green field cards get sent to the drop by one of your skills, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 2 or less and KO it. So if you sack off one of your Ever field cards or this on the board, you get to pop one of your opponent's 2 cost or less battle cards, which can come in handy. Not always handy, because it's not often that you see 2 cost or less battle cards that you want to get rid of, that are that important to a strategy, that don't have barrier, but still, if it comes around and it's useful, there it is. Then we go on to the next field card, being 2 on top of evasion. I used to rate this a lot more highly than I do now, because I thought it was insanely good, but since we've got more and more cards to help deal with unisons, like take markers off unison and green, this card has kind of lost it a bit for me, so that's why it's gone down to just 2 copies. Because it has 2 really good effects, so it's kind of like a Champer and also Unison control in one. Because the first effect, if your leader is this leader, when it's played, you get to take a card from your life in your hand if you want to, and then your leader gains 10k in double strike for the turn. So it's like Champer in that aspect where it's costing 1, and it's giving your leader a 10k in double strike for the turn. But the only problem is unlike Champer, which is a battle trick that happens during combat, this is seen ahead and can be. Once it's seen ahead, they can always know that's going to happen beforehand rather than it being a surprise, and just stop the attacks. It only works on your leader. So if you play this and swing your lead, they can just negate it, and they already see it ahead, just negate your lead attack and not worry about that 25k double strike. But if they don't negate it and you do get this off, you can make your leader a big powerhouse by having this to make it from a 15k base to a 25k double strike, and then when it swings to the lead, sacking a field card off using the leader's activate battle to make your leader a base 35k double strike before you do any combos, which is pretty nice. And the other effect on the field is where you get the unison control in, which is when this card is in your battle area is placed in the dropper by one of your skills, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's unisons and remove a marker from it. This means that when you have this on the board, your opponent's less likely go in with unison-centric strategies if their unison gets put to 1 or their unison gains skills that aren't already put on the card, because as soon as they lose a marker from it, it loses all the skills, and if they only got 1 marker on it, this could knock the last one off and then set it to the drop and not worry about it. So if you got things like the Gohan, the SS2 Gohan Unison, or the Green Caller Unison, Green Frieza Unison in Caller, and they go down to 1 and they get their full benefits and push through, and you just sat this off to knock a marker off it, it then dies or it loses their skills, which is very nice. So with this deck, you don't have to really worry about any Unison strategies too much because of the fact you have this card. And then the last field card we got is you did used to have Unstoppable Invasion at 3 and Terrified Realization at 2, but I switched it around because Terrified Realization is a lot better and a lot more useful nowadays since we got other cards that deal with Unisons by having that draw power and a little bit benefit of giving yourself a I can't think of it. I can't remember what the term is for every card game, like Symphony or Melody, where it kind of gives a boost to all certain cards. But yeah, this is the one that has the permanent, and its permanent is basically if you have 4 or more extra cards, field cards on your board that are green, all your green Frieza Clank battle cards gain 5k power during your turn. So essentially, if you got this, your field card you start off with, and 2 other field cards on board, your green Frieza Clan battle cards gain 5k during your turn, which is nice. You can then this affects a few of the cards in the deck, and also most of your Z deck as well, giving them a nice 5k boost, which can come in handy. And the Everall Tilt is very nice as well. It's another card that can help take your life down and also draw cards, because when it's played, you get to, when it's placed in your battle area, you get to choose up to 1 in your life and add it to your hand, and then draw 1 card. So once again, self-awakening if needed, and also drawing a card. So you got plenty of ways to help get someone down to 2, at least by turn 2 or 3, so you can get your front side benefit, and then just continue to go ham. So that's all the field cards I play. So not too many, but I've not so far had an issue of not seeing them. But if you ever feel like you don't see them, you can always up some of them a bit more. But generally, I feel like these 13 are enough because you can recycle them with certain cards. Next card I have is the part of the Unison package, which is King Vegeta Raw Invader. This is the Unison that came with the deck, and it's very handy because it allows you to play the field cards without using energy, so you can save that energy for playing other cards. It's only a 2 cost 15k, so it's susceptible to Black Smoke Dragon. But if you do get taken out by Black Smoke Dragon, it's not the end of the world because you can always just hard play a field card. It's not the end of the world if you get rid of it. I know some people assume that, or people did assume with most strategies that revolved around a Unison, where if the Unison is taken out, the deck just falls apart. But that's not the case because there's a way to work around things like no deck is entirely dead just because of 1 card. It can basically, as long as you put the effort in and work around it, you can always play a different way of playing it. But for now, we're playing this Unison because it's a 2 cost 15k, and it's got 3 effects. Only effects you're only going to use the +1 and the -3. -3 doesn't come in as often, but mainly the +1. Because the +1 is an activate main, where you choose up to 1 of your green field cards at cost 2 and activate it. So activate it from your hand. So you get the free play a field card, a 2 cost field card from your hand. By using the +1, which means you don't have to use the energy, and then get the benefits of the field and the lead draw. You got the -1, which is pretty terrible, which is activate main. Your opponent chooses 1 of the battle cards for energy cost 5 or less and KOs it. But the annoying thing about this is only 5 or less, which is shit compared to whatever green cards can do. Just pop in anything, and it gives your opponent the option to choose, which isn't great because they're always going to choose a card they don't give a shit about. And then we got the activate main, which is -3. Well, activate battle, which is -3. And this is a really nice one. This gives you a little bit of a game ender with this card, and is a valid reason because wood green, you've got a fair few. You've got multiple different good secret rares you can play to help with certain situations. And this Unison is a valid reason to want to use the Majin Buu Zeno secret rare to counter secret rare with this, because sometimes you want to push this through because this could be a very good turn ender because this card gains triple strike and 5k power for each extra card in your battle area with the field skill for the turn. So it means you can, with all 5 of these field cards, you can go up to a 40k triple striker with your Unison, and having that Buu Zeno counter means you can push through this. If they negate, stop the negate and push through, and try and kill with the 40k triple before combo. So that's an option. I don't run that secret rare because I don't really want to go for that route. I feel it's not as flexible as everyone's. So, but if you want to try it, that's an option to try. And of course, with the Unison, we also have the charismatic. This is just to run a great counter play, free counter play as long as you've got Unison here with 2 markers on. Counter play effect is just play itself, so it gets around ways to deflect because of its auto, which is when this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with edge cost of 7 or less and KO it. So it's really nice. Just have a free counter play, disruption, I don't think these are going anywhere. There's like a whole Unison package, but we didn't play the third pit, being dormant potential, because I don't feel it's worth it in this. It's just a hand, just floods your hand and it's ever ways to survive a turn. So that's the units and stuff out of the way. Then we have 4 copies of Bear Blue. Bear Blue being one of the best cards in the deck. Just because it allows you to recycle through your fill cards and also grab your fill cards too, and helps keep the makes a good extra part of the Unison strategy as well. And that's because this also is when this card is played. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You can either add one of the green fill cards that you see among them to your hand, or this green Unison with a specified cost of 2 to your hand among them to your hand. So that's really nice. Looking for any of these fill cards from the top 7 or the Unison, it's great. So you're never really going to whiff off this card. You're always going to see a target, at least one. And then the other effect is how you get to recycle your fill cards even after you've lost them to the drop. Because an activate main, once per turn for 1 green, if your leader is this leader, you get to activate a mono green extra card with an energy cost of 2 in the field skill from your drop area. So if one of these are gone in your drop and you sacked them off, you can replay it back. So you're not using any cards from your hand, but you're still getting the fill card out, and you get the benefits of it, and also get to draw off your lead. Fantastic card, always at 4, never lower. Then we have 4 Defender Father Paragus, one of the, well, probably the best super combo in the game, just because of the fact that it allows you to see the cards before you choose what you're going to get rid of, unlike some of the ones set 11 where you have to bottom deck a card, then draw 2 cards. When that one, with the other one, you can bottom deck a card you don't need, they get 2 dead cards, whereas this one you need to get to see the 2 cards before you choose what you're going to get rid of. So you get rid of the least useful card in your hand then. And we play 4 copies of this because, as I said, it's just the best one. And also because it's a really good one in the Fate Rivals package because it's a green Saiyan. So you get to potentially get more than just 4 super combos legally, not by shifty tactics. And then we have 4 copies of Cooler Effortless Strike. This is a card that comes in and out of the format depending on how the format is going. And at the moment I feel like this is a very good one, because it's a nice little counterplay. And if you like blue with the Android 18 counterplay in like Android decks, then you'll love this in green, especially this deck, because it's the counterplay where the counterplay is play this card and the battle card being played. If the battle card being played is entry cost 4 or less, it's a drop instead. So you get a play out of 15k. It also gets a boost from Terrified Realizations. It becomes 20k during your turn if you've got Terrified Realizations permanent life. And then you get to stop something 4 or less coming in. So unless it's got deflect, it's just going to drop. And you're getting good value at this because you're not paying 4 because the permanent makes it so during your opponent's turn, reduce by 1 for every green extra card in your battle area and or drop. So yeah, so if you've got multiple extra cards, which you're not going to have with fill cards or even more in the drop, you can get this down to a 1 cost because remember you have to pay the specified cost still. And you can also potentially make your opponent lose 2 cards, not 1 for the counterplay and 1 by its auto, where when it's played, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand, they choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. So if your opponent's got a 9 card hand, they go play something, you stop it with this, and then you play it. They got 8 cards in hand, you make them discard a card, so they just lost 2, and you've basically just established yourself a battle card and stopped the play. Fantastic. Sometimes it might be useful, so depending on the format, you could take it out. But at the moment, I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards in the deck. Then we have 4 copies of King Cold Transfer of Power. So this is the new promo we got last year around the I think around autumn, September. September, I think it's around the time when we got it. One of the new or the champ pack promos, and it's a really nice one because we used to have a Frieza that had dual attack, but now this is a lot better because it's got a nice little permanent where for every 2 green extra cards, either on your battle area or in your drop, it reduces reduce the cost of this card down by 1, so you can drop it down to a minimum of with 4 extra cards in either your battle area and or drop. You can reduce this down to a 2 cost because remember you got to pay the specified cost, which on this card is 2. It has critical and 20k power, so remember with Terrified Realization live, it becomes a 25k during your turn, so 25k crit is quite good. And because it can go down to 2 costs, it can be played for free off Anticipated Onslaught. This is why I really love this card, and really love Anticipated Onslaught. It's because you can keep spamming these copies out for free by just paying Anticipated Onslaught, which is what you're going to want to do anyway, because it gets tricks to the leader on the draw. And it's also got a nice little activate main, where you can sack off one of your fill cards, one of your 2 cost fill cards, and choose then as the cost, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards, pop it, and if you want to, and you have one in your drop, charge one of your fill cards to your Z energy. So it's a way to get Z energy using the fill cards, which is a nice little perk, and also remove something as well. But the main thing is that it can sack off one of your fill cards, so then you can go back and play a new copy of that card, either from your drop of Berry Blue, or from your hand, either by Unison, or just by hardcasting it. Because that's what you need in this deck. A good thing is to have some fill card management, so you can replay fill cards, because if you get all 4 on the board, then you're going to have a hard time being able to get a new one if you don't get rid of them. So having this in your leader and stuff allows you to manage that, so you can keep recycling, get the troll, and get the good benefits, because the fill cards are very, very good. And you play 4 copies of it, because just dropping for free a 25k critical attacker is very nice, and why would you not want to? Then we have the card that goes really well with the super combo, being Son Goku Fated Rival, and it's the card that every deck should have, which is Barrier Removal. And it's a really nice one for this. It doesn't come down until at least turn 3 because of its effect, but it is a double striker with barriers. Also, that barrier is really nice for protection. 6 cost as well. 30k double strike is very good, and just having that alter where, if your leader is green, which ours is, when you play it, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore and barrier and KO it. Barrier removal is just fantastic, and having this on such a big, hefty beat stick is very nice, and having that protection is just a little bit extra. And you play this for cheap because you activate main where you pay 2 green, and if your opponent has 3 or more energy, and you place one of your Saiyan, Earthling, or Namekians that are green from your Z energy to your bottom of your deck, you get the troll, you get the place card from your hand. So that's really handy, and you can just use your defending Father Paragus super combo either defensive, because you can go down to 4 very quickly, so you can have your Paragus super combo live, and you can chuck it either defensively or aggressively on like a King Cold or your leader swing after using the Unstoppable Invasion to put for a big hefty swing that your opponent doesn't want to take, and then you get to put it back in the bottom of your deck, and then play out this Goku. So you basically just use a super combo, and now you put it back into your deck, means you still got it available again, which means you use one, and you've got it again, so you've plus the amount of super combos you can play. And even though it's at the bottom of your deck, that's not an issue, because Berry Blue, when it uses auto, shuffles your deck. So if you just play out Berry Blue, you can get your deck shuffled again to kind of see it more earlier. And we play 3 copies of it, because why it's not something you want to see early, because you can't play it until your opponent has 3 or more energy, so it can come out either turn 3 or 4 for you, depending who went first. And the nice thing about it is that if you do have this in your combo area, or in your C energy, you can always put it back so you can recycle them as well, which is quite nice. But it's mainly so you can, it's mainly there for barrier removal and the fact that you can recycle your super combos if need be. Then we have 1 copy of Son Goku Zone Gohan Latent Potential Unleashed. This is a really nice one. And you're not often going to play it. You can play it for 2 by using the activate main when you're life at 4 or less. Play this card from your hand, because it is a deflect 20k critical. And when it comes down, it pops Sunk on your opponent's battle area, and then can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills until your next turn. But that's not the issue. That's not the best thing about it. The best thing about it is the second auto, which all the colours got, where they've got a card now where you can combo to use energy and get an effect off. And this one is for 1 green. If your leader is green, when this card is added to use the energy, choose up to one of your opponent's Unisons and remove 3 markers from it. So being able to knock 3 markers on it is a lot better than the Unstoppable Invasion, knocking just 1 off. But Unstoppable Invasion is nice as a battle trick, and this is really nice if you want to just knock a load of markers off Unison, because as it's a screen saying, you can put it back with Son Goku Fated Rival, so you can recycle it if you need be. But it's just mainly there, so if you want to deal with Unisons, just not worry about them. You can just swing, combo this, try to use energy and knock 3 markers off the Unison, meaning you have to worry less about swinging into a Unison when you can just get rid of it that way. When you play 1, because space is quite tight, I feel, but you can always side 1. I don't currently, because I only had 1 at the time, but now I've got a second one, I might look at wiggling an extra copy in, but I'm not sure yet, depending on how ban list comes up soon for set 20. Then we have the secret rare choice. Like, I was running the 8 for the event because I didn't have this, but if I got this now, and I will always run probably Cell Max more. Well, depending on the format, I prefer at the moment Cell Max because it's just a nice one. It just comes out for 1 using the activate main if your leader is green, but for 1 green, pay this card from your hand, and it's a 40k quad strike. What's not to love? We remember with the hot days of Cell Zeno, where you can drop that early and get a dual attacking 40k triple strike quad striker. This is no different, but Bandai have learned from that situation back then, so they didn't add a permanent where if you have 3 or less energy, you can't swing with this, and it can't be removed from a battle area. So at least it's got that protection of can't be removed unless you're red, where you can get around that by minusing it to 0. So it dies by game mechanics, but you can't use it until you're at least on turn 4. And it's got a nice little added benefit, which I really like, which is only 3 colours have now, which is blue, red, and green now, which is a way to not have to worry about getting your opponent down to 1, but to 0, but have to just get them down to 1 and then have your secret red finish the job. And that is by the auto, where if this card would be removed from your battle area by a skill, then you choose all your opponent's battle cards. Well, if this card would be removed from the battle area, you choose all your opponent's battle cards, and you go and barrier KO them, and then place one of their energy, one of their life, in the drop area. So yeah, that's how you do it. You get to just yeah, crit a life just if this gets removed. So you can remove it yourself, but I'm not playing anything that can remove it. But just normally you just could be dropping this as a 40k quad strike, just trying to finish them off. But if they get put to 1, they can never remove this because if they do, they kill themselves. So that's a nice little thing. Then the last battle card I have is SS4 Vegeta Fang Greeting. This is my overall choice because I don't really feel you need the Dark Broly Unison and remove board because you have a lot of ways to control your opponent's board. You've got the King Cold to kill anything that's not got barrier, and then Son Goku to kill anything through barrier. So you've got player potential to pop anything with those 2 cards. So I don't feel you need an overrun to do it. And Fang Greeting is just handy because just like Dark Broly, it is a free overwhelm of this overwhelm 6 and a 30k beat stick. And this one has a nice little benefit of just reducing your opponent's hand by making them more card from hand when you play it. So reduce the amount of options they have in their hand and provide a free 30k swing. So yeah, that's why I just played a 1 copy of Fang Greeting. You don't need more because it's not searchable in the deck, and if you see the new ruler as one of them, it goes straight to the bottom of your deck, and unless you can shuffle, you're not going to see it again. So I tend to have just 1 copy, so if I see it, I see it. If I don't, I don't. And it's just free when I play it. So that's all the battle cards. Then we go to the extra cards. First we have the extra card, the negate that comes with the deck, and that is Royal Supremacy. A very, very nice one, and literally free. Because it's got a nice little permanent where if you have 3 or more green extra cards with the field skill in play, you get to activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. So just start off with 1, pay 2 more, and then you can add this as a free negate. And it's a really nice one because it negates the attack, and then you get to choose any number of your opponent's battle cards with a total cost up to 3 or less, and then KO them. I mean, you can hit all their tokens if they got tokens. You can also hit anything up to cost of 3, and it's really nice to just negate an attack, potentially stop a never attack by killing something that could attack. It's really nice to get rid of all your opponent's weenies and stuff like that. So you play 4 copies of it because you can make it live very easily, and just having a free negate that's actually free without taking life like most negates is very nice. And then it's 2 copies of Homicide Clones together. Extra card negate because it's just really handy. Mostly every deck's running the token negates because it just stops potentially 2 attacks by negating the first attack and then playing a token with blocker, which then the token then can block another attack. I mean, you've just potentially 2 attacks with 1 card. And the good thing about this one, like it is with the red and the black one, is that the token from this card actually has a combo power of 0 cost and 5k power, so you can use it as a combo piece if you don't use it as a blocker, which is fantastic. And that's the list. Keep it to 50 because I want to make it consistent. I don't want to be, because really I feel like you don't need to go over 50 cards unless your deck's one that heavily draws, like heavily draws, like we've seen with some blue decks, or decks that mill or burst themselves. You don't really need to go over 50 because you want to keep that consistency. So that's the deck. Then we're going to Z deck. So the ones I got is 2 copies of Frieza, just generic one, just 2 cost 15k. Remember, it gets boosted by your Terrified Realization. Only costs 1 Z energy, and it's nice because it's a deflect double strike available at any point, and it gets a pop strength 5 or less when it's played, and then the ever also allows you to lose a Z energy to make your opponent discard 1 if you attack with something else that's green and a cost of 2 or more. So really nice and handy. It's really good because it just gives you, if you need double strike at any time, you don't have the Goku in your hand, and you want to put in a double strike, you can always play this out from your Z deck, so you've got this available whenever. Then you got Jiren, another way to kill Unisons with its effect. Also, it can come in and make something unremovable by effects. So you can bring this out. You can use target itself, or Berry Blue, or say a King Cold or something like that. Something you want that's 5 cost or less when it's played, and it can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills until the end of the next turn. So using this Protect Berry Blue can be very handy if you want to. I don't often use my Z deck for this deck unless it comes up, but so far it hasn't. But it's just there if you need it. And the activate main is where you get the extra benefit, where you can place any number of your Z energy in the owner's drops, and then choose up to 1 of your opponent's Unison and remove a marker for each Z energy placed in the drop area by this skill. So another way to finish off Unisons. And if you place 2 or more, you get to gain 10k in double strike for the turn. It's giving yourself for 2 energy a 25k double strike. So once again, more double strike. We won't copy the Golden Frieza one, Return of the Destroyer, just because it's just a bigger version of Frieza. And if you go with if you want to tech in the Golden Frieza Unison from the Caller deck, you can do that because it's got activate main once per turn by paying 2 green. If your leader is a green Frieza clan card, which King Cold is, and you have 4 more energy, you get to play 1 green Unison at a specified cost of 3 or less from your hand with a marker on it. So if you've got the Unison out and you want to play, and you've already used the effect, you can use that to pay 2 to bring out the Golden Frieza to then trigger the auto of this, and also get the Empower, and then potentially have the markers to again use the -4 on that Frieza. And the auto's nice, where it's just added barrier removal, where if it's your turn, when your green Unison's placed in your drop, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore one barrier, KO it, and then give 5k power to this card for the turn. And what is a hefty Z energy cost before, you can reduce it for more Unisons, but this is just if you want a stronger one in the Resurrected Ambition, don't need to pop anything, you can bring this out. This is just an option if you, it's more of an option if you want to use the activate main really. So I would potentially cut this for either a third Frieza Unexpected Assistance or a Frieza Resurrected Ambition. Then we got this Frieza. This is the one that came in the Gohan deck, so it's Frieza Unexpected Assistance. So one cost 10k with 1 Z energy blocker. The nice things about this is one, it's a one cost for 1 Z energy and gains a 5k boost from Terrified Realization. So for 1 energy from your Z deck, you can always play a potential 15k attacker, or play it out as a block if you need to defend yourself. And also it's a one cost for bottle Paternal Unison, which I play in the side. So it's an extra another way to, like, without using cards in your hand, bring something you can attack with and then sack off for the Unison. Just handy in that way, because it is a green Frieza clan. So that's it for the Z deck. In the side deck, I was running 3 bottle Paternal Unison just to hate on people's combo power, because you can put a lot of big pressure with your lead being a 35k base as well, and just preventing your opponent's combo power by just knocking off any super combos or any cards you might want to like out combo or swing. Or if you're playing against yellow and they've got their secret rare super combo, sacked off their energy, what's their combo power, so they don't get the use of it. It's very nice, so it's not coming down. Kind of like a nice little benefit of that. And then just the +1 allow you to sack off when you have one cost, like if you feel like Berry Blue is going to be taken out and not going to survive the turn, then you can always sack it off to make your opponent discard one, because its effect is basically pop one of your green battle cards and costs a 1, and if you do, your opponent discards one. So a bit of hand control in that way, and then make use of Berry Blue if you don't think it's going to survive. And it has a helpful effect is -3, being a gain of 5k and triple attack for the turn. So just like with the one we already used, Umbral Might, then you still have another way to kind of put more pressure on as well. And then we've got Vegeta protecting his loved ones. We've got 3 copies of that because it's just nice to hate on D Magic in blue. I always like to hate on blue because blue is just the strongest card at the moment, and it's just really nice against one of the best negates being D Magic. And it's just a cantrip. You can switch those out for different ones if you want to. I would probably take out 1 for the Yamcha Cunning card just to deal with Kaioken because cards against around. And unless Turn Tide gets banned, that card is going to be relevant just for if you come across it, you want to have that protection against it. Then we have the Kaioken Goku and Fusamasu combo, which you can side in if you want to go a hand control route, if you want to side into that. Because the Kaioken, they both only trigger when your energy is free, so you need at least 3 energy, at least 3 mono green for Kaioken, which you will have. And Kaioken comes down for 1, and once you gets a turn free, and then makes your opponent discard 1, and it's a 15k critical, and you can always use the activate battle to pay 1 to give it an extra 10k, and then it'll be -10k during your opponent's turn, but that's not really going to matter because you're going to be sacking it off all the time for a few Massive Deity's Wrath. So this is the card that you're always going to sack off. You can sack off your Frieza Charismatic, and another thing I forgot to mention about Frieza Charismatic is it also gains the benefit from Terrified Realization. So unlike in most decks, which just comes out as a 10k, pops something, and then swings to 10k, needing combo to go up higher, it could be a 15k during your turn in this deck, and also something for Fusamasu. Because this one you just need to pay 1 and have 3 more energy and choose your green battle cards with energy cost of 5k or more and total energy cost of 5 and place them in the drop to play this card, which Kaioken fulfills. And then when it attacks, your opponent chooses 1 card in hand, discards it. So if you're nice, the longer this is on the board, the more you're getting value out of it by making your opponent discard 1 each time. And indestructible means unless your opponent's going to negate the skills or -0 with power reduction, you're not getting rid of it. Then the 2 extra cards we got inside is Focus Breakthrough to deal with floodgates, because if your leader is green, your life's 4 or less, which we easily get to, and we're going to get to as early as turn 2. If the bad card being played as entry cost of 3 or less, placed in the drop area instead. So it's just nice to stop floodgate negates from triggering their floodgates when they come down with their autos. And the permanent is irrelevant because we don't play any multicolored cards. The last card we got is Cell Skirt to Shine Kamehameha, because there is a way you can, sometimes I like to do, is take out the Unison package, which is nice 8 cards, to put it to kind of take people's focus away, because people might want to side in Black Smoke Dragon, because Black Smoke Dragon isn't really mained in any decks outside of blue, maybe Golden Frieza. They're normally sided for certain matchups, and sometimes people side them in to kind of deal with that, thinking that it's going to hit you hard. But you can always side up the user package so that they got it in just to not really use, and use this to try and whittle their hand down, and also get some big power buffs. Because remember, your leader can get to a base 35k double, and you can just chuck this in for extra 15k while also ripping a card out of hand of your choice at random. which might be a card that didn't want, like a super combo or something like that. So we've got 3 copies of this, because what we like to decide in is if you take out the Unison package being 8 cards, it's normally put in these 2, the 2 Kaioken, the few Fusamasu, the 3 Cells, and either a Vegeta or a Focus Breakthrough, depending on the deck you're playing against, if you want to take out the Unison package out. And yeah, that is it for the deck. So if you like this, thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them. It could help with my how to play, and I'll be dropping a how to play soon. I'm trying to get sorted in the works, get it put together, get it recorded, and it should be out soon enough. Hopefully next week. If not, you should see it soon. But thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.